You know what's ironic? The day my perfect life started crumbling was the same day I got promoted to senior software engineer at Microsoft. I remember walking through our modern Seattle apartment, admiring the skyline view through our floor-to-ceiling windows, thinking about how I'd surprise Amanda with the news. My wife of 5 years, Amanda Mitchell, was everything I thought I wanted in a partner. Beautiful, intelligent, and seemingly devoted. I met Amanda at a tech conference in 2019. She stood out immediately, with her honey blonde hair falling in perfect waves, and those striking green eyes that could light up any room. She worked in digital marketing, and our shared interest in technology made conversation flow effortlessly. Within a year, we were married, and I thought I had hit the relationship jackpot. That fateful Thursday in March started normally enough. Seattle's perpetual drizzle tapped against our windows as I worked from home, finishing up some code reviews. Amanda had left earlier for her marketing agency, kissing me goodbye as usual. But around 2 p.m., something unusual happened. My phone buzzed with a notification from our shared DoorDash account. Your order from Bella Italia is being prepared. I frowned. I hadn't ordered anything, and Amanda usually brought lunch from home or ate with her colleagues at their regular spots downtown. The delivery address wasn't our apartment. It was somewhere in the Belltown neighborhood. I assumed it was a glitch and made a mental note to ask Amanda about it later. When she came home that evening, something was different. Her usually impeccable makeup was slightly smudged, and her designer blouse was wrinkled in a way that seemed out of character for someone as meticulous as Amanda. She blamed it on a hectic day at work. But now, looking back, I should have noticed how she avoided eye contact while explaining. "Honey, I got promoted," I announced, pulling out a bottle of champagne I'd hidden in the fridge. Her smile seemed genuine as she hugged me, but there was a slight tension in her shoulders I hadn't felt before. "That's amazing, James. We should celebrate properly this weekend," she said, quickly adding that she was too tired for champagne tonight. That was the first red flag I chose to ignore. Over the next few weeks, I noticed small changes. Amanda started working late more often. Her usual floral perfume sometimes carried an unfamiliar musky undertone. She changed her gym schedule from mornings to evenings, claiming it helped her sleep better. And those random food deliveries to unknown addresses kept appearing on our shared account. One night, as we lay in bed, I noticed her phone screen lighting up with notifications. She quickly turned it face down, but not before I caught a glimpse of a DoorDash message that read, "Special instructions followed as requested." When I asked about it casually, she mumbled something about ordering lunch for her team. Our intimate moments became less frequent. Amanda always had an excuse: headaches, work stress, or early meetings the next day. The woman who used to wake me up with passionate kisses now barely pecked my cheek before rushing out the door. I started paying more attention to our shared digital accounts. The food deliveries formed a pattern. Always on Thursdays, always to that same address in Belltown, always between 2 and 3 p.m. Amanda's credit card statements showed regular charges at a high-end lingerie store I'd never seen her wear anything from. One morning, as I made coffee, I overheard her on the phone in our home office. "Yes, the usual place. No, he doesn't suspect anything. Just make sure to follow the delivery instructions exactly." She hung up quickly when she noticed me approaching. That evening, I decided to check our security camera footage, a feature of our smart home system I rarely used. Amanda's arrival times didn't match the time she told me she'd come home. Sometimes she'd enter our building looking disheveled, her hair messy in a way that spoke of more than just Seattle wind. The promotion celebration she promised never happened. Instead, she announced she had to attend a digital marketing conference in Portland that weekend. When I offered to drive her to the airport, she insisted on taking a rideshare, claiming she had to pick up a colleague on the way. I sat in our living room that Friday night, staring at the space where we'd taken our wedding photos. Amanda's smiling face looked down at me from the wall, her green eyes sparkling with what I once thought was love. The rain outside grew heavier, matching my darkening mood, as I finally allowed myself to acknowledge what my heart had been trying to deny. My perfect life, my perfect wife, my perfect marriage. It was all starting to look like a carefully constructed illusion, and it took a simple food delivery notification to make the first crack in that perfect facade. Little did I know, this was just the beginning of unraveling a web of lies that would change my life forever. As I sat there, another DoorDash notification lit up my phone. This time, it was an order confirmation for 2 servings of tiramisu, Amanda's favorite dessert, being delivered to that same mysterious Belltown address. She was supposed to be in Portland. I felt my hands trembling as I picked up my phone, ready to start digging deeper into what would become the most painful investigation of my life. That night, after discovering the tiramisu delivery to Belltown while Amanda was supposedly in Portland, I couldn't sleep. My software engineering background kicked in. Where there's data, there's truth. I opened my laptop and began what would become my own personal data mining operation. First, I logged into our shared DoorDash account. The order history was a digital trail of deception. Every Thursday, like clockwork, orders were being sent to 1542 Western Avenue, a luxury apartment complex called the Metropolitan. The orders were always for 2 people, with specific instructions. Leave at front desk for AM. No need to call. But it wasn't just food. The delivery instructions sometimes included suspicious notes. Please, bring to apartment 803. Or, text this number instead. I started documenting everything in a spreadsheet, my hands shaking as I typed. The patterns were becoming clearer, and each new entry felt like another knife in my back. I remembered how Amanda had insisted on keeping our food delivery accounts linked to make things easier. Now I understood why. She had been using my credit card for these mysterious deliveries, probably assuming I never checked the statements in detail. She was right. I had trusted her completely. Around 3 a.m., I decided to check our other shared accounts. Our Amazon history showed recent purchases I'd never seen. A new iPhone case. Amanda had her phone for years. Expensive men's cologne. I only use one brand. And various items of clothing that never appeared in our closet. The next revelation came from our joint credit card statement. Regular charges from a place called Elite Fitness appeared every month, but Amanda had always claimed she used her company's gym. The charges were for private training sessions, expensive ones. Each session coincided with her new evening workout schedule. I found myself going down a rabbit hole of digital investigation. Our shared cloud storage revealed location data from photos she'd taken, many at times and places that contradicted her stories about working late. Several were taken at the Metropolitan, always around the same time as those food deliveries. Then I discovered something that made my blood run cold. In a folder marked Work Presentations, I found a series of selfies. Amanda, my wife, in lingerie I'd never seen, posed in what was clearly not our apartment. The metadata showed they were taken on days she claimed to be at client meetings. My hands were trembling as I opened our cellular account. The call logs told their own story. A single number appeared repeatedly, always with lengthy call durations, often late at night or during her supposed gym sessions. The calls increased in frequency over the past 3 months. I Googled the Metropolitan. It was a high-end apartment building, the kind that attracted young professionals and successful singles. The thought of Amanda there, sharing meals and who knows what else, made me physically sick. Using my tech skills, I managed to access our building's security logs. Amanda's key fob entries and exits painted a picture of routine deception. On days she claimed to work until 9 p.m., she actually left at 6 p.m. The 3-hour gaps haunted me. As dawn broke over Seattle's skyline, I had compiled enough digital evidence to write a novel about my wife's apparent double life. But I needed more. I needed to be absolutely certain before confronting her. The software engineer in me knew that data could be misleading. I needed visual confirmation. I created a simple program to notify me whenever our DoorDash account was used. I set up alerts for Amanda's credit card charges at specific locations. I even installed a discreet tracking app on our shared iPad, something I never thought I'd do in a million years. The next step would be harder. I needed to see the Metropolitan for myself. I needed to understand who was in apartment 803. The thought of physically investigating made me nauseous, but I had to know the truth. As I closed my laptop, the sun was fully up. Amanda would be returning from Portland that evening. I had to act normal, pretend I hadn't just discovered that my entire marriage might be a lie. I had to smile and ask about a conference that probably never happened, all while planning my next moves. I took a shower, trying to wash away the night's discoveries. But as I got dressed for what would be the longest day of my life, I knew there was no going back. The digital breadcrumbs had shown me a path I had to follow, no matter how much it hurt. Little did I know, the worst was yet to come. The next phase of my investigation would reveal truths that would shatter not just my marriage, but my entire worldview. Sometimes ignorance really is bliss, but once you start pulling on a thread of lies, you have to see where it leads. The following week, I took a sick day from work. My hands were sweating as I parked my Tesla across from the Metropolitan, a vantage point that gave me a clear view of the entrance. It was Thursday, 1:45 p.m., prime delivery time according to my collected data. I felt like a character in one of those crime shows Amanda and I used to watch together. The irony wasn't lost on me. I had my laptop, a telephoto lens for my phone, purchased discreetly on Amazon, and a churning sensation in my stomach that wouldn't go away. Right on schedule, a DoorDash driver arrived at 2:05 p.m. I watched as they entered the building with a familiar-looking bag from Bella Italia. My heart raced as I opened the DoorDash app. Yes, there was the order, charged to our account. 2 portions of fettuccine alfredo, Amanda's favorite. But what happened next made my world stop. At 2:15 p.m., I saw Amanda walking toward the building. She looked different, more made up than usual for a workday, wearing a dress I'd never seen before. She was checking her phone and smiling in a way I hadn't seen her smile at home in months. Minutes later, a man exited a black BMW and headed to the same entrance. Tall, muscular, wearing expensive workout clothes. He looked like he'd walked straight out of a fitness magazine. He carried a gym bag with Elite Fitness emblazoned on the side. The pieces were starting to fit together. I quickly searched Elite Fitness's website on my laptop. There he was, Michael Thompson, head personal trainer. His profile boasted about specialized one-on-one training sessions and nutrition planning. The same services that had been showing up on our credit card statements. My hands shook as I took photos, documenting everything. The timestamp would prove they were both there, at the same time, on a Thursday afternoon when Amanda was supposed to be at a client meeting. I waited, feeling sick to my stomach. 2 hours later, Amanda emerged, her perfectly styled hair now slightly messy, her lipstick noticeably faded. She looked around furtively before hurrying to her car. Michael came out 20 minutes later, looking equally disheveled, but wearing a satisfied smirk. That evening, when Amanda came home, she had changed back into her work clothes. "How was your client meeting?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "Oh, you know, the usual," she replied, not meeting my eyes. "They're really interested in our new social media strategy." I excused myself to the bathroom and vomited. The next day, I took my investigation further. I contacted the Metropolitan's leasing office, posing as a potential tenant interested in Unit 803. The agent was helpful. "Oh, that unit belongs to one of our fitness trainer residents. Beautiful views of the city." I also discovered that Michael Thompson had been married until 6 months ago. His Instagram, which was public, showed a pattern. He posed with different women at gyms, restaurants, and events. Each woman appeared for a few months before being replaced by another. Amanda hadn't appeared in any photos. At least, she was discreet. The following week, I installed a GPS tracker on Amanda's car. I told myself it was wrong, that I was crossing a line, but I needed concrete evidence. The tracker confirmed what I already knew. Regular visits to the Metropolitan, always on Thursdays, sometimes on Tuesday evenings, when she was supposedly at team meetings. I also discovered that Amanda had opened a secret credit card. She'd been careless once, having a statement sent to our home instead of electronically. It showed hotel charges, restaurant bills for two, and various purchases from luxury boutiques I'd never heard of. One night, while Amanda was at her gym session, I found a burner phone hidden in her home office desk. The messages were explicit, detailing their encounters and plans. Michael called her his perfect little secret. They had been meeting for 4 months since he first became her personal trainer. The final piece of evidence came from our building's security camera footage. I watched weeks of recordings, noting every time Amanda came home late. The cameras caught her in the elevator, sometimes fixing her clothes, often looking flushed and guilty. One night, she was crying, mascara running down her face as she talked on her phone. I had everything I needed: photos, videos, messages, financial records, and timestamps. My investigation was complete, but I felt no satisfaction. Only emptiness, betrayal, and a deep burning anger. As I sat in our home office, surrounded by evidence of my wife's infidelity, I realized I had one more decision to make. How would I confront them? Should I expose everything at once, or watch them try to lie their way out of it? The answer came in the form of another DoorDash notification. A dinner for two, scheduled for the following evening at the Metropolitan. They were getting careless, comfortable in their routine. It would be their last dinner together. I would make sure of that. I spent the entire day rehearsing how I would handle the confrontation. My hands trembled as I packed all my evidence into a manila envelope. Photos, credit card statements, GPS locations, and screenshots of their messages. Each piece of paper felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. Amanda left for work that morning as if it were any other day. She kissed my cheek, told me she had a girls' night out planned, and promised not to be home too late. I watched her leave, knowing exactly where she was really going. The DoorDash order was scheduled for 7 p.m. at the Metropolitan. At 6:45 p.m., I parked my car in the visitors section of the Metropolitan's garage. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I had called in a favor from a college friend who now worked in building security. He had agreed to let me up to the 8th floor, apartment 803. The elevator ride felt eternal. With each floor, memories of our 5-year marriage flashed through my mind. Our first date, the proposal, our wedding day, all tainted now by the reality of her betrayal. The manila envelope in my hands contained the death certificate of our marriage. At 7:05 p.m., I heard the DoorDash delivery person through the door. Minutes later, Amanda arrived. I listened as her heels clicked down the hallway. The same sound I used to love hearing in our apartment. Then came Michael's voice, deep and flirtatious. "Hey, beautiful." Right on time. I waited 5 more minutes, giving them time to get comfortable. Then I knocked on the door. The conversation inside stopped abruptly. "DoorDash!" I called out, mimicking a delivery person's tone. I heard shuffling, then Michael's footsteps approaching. When he opened the door, his confident smile disappeared. I pushed past him into the apartment, where Amanda sat on the couch, wearing the lingerie I had seen in those hidden photos. Her face went pale, and the wine glass she was holding slipped from her hand, shattering on the hardwood floor. "James!" she gasped, scrambling to cover herself with a throw blanket. This isn't... Isn't what, Amanda?" I said, my voice eerily calm. "Isn't exactly what it looks like. Isn't you having an affair with your personal trainer? Isn't you lying to me for months?" Michael stepped forward, his gym-sculpted chest puffed out. "Look, man, let's handle this civilly." I laughed, a hollow, bitter sound. "Civilly? Like how you civilly slept with my wife. Like how you both civilly charged your little dates to my credit card." I opened the manila envelope and started laying out the evidence on his expensive coffee table. Every Thursday afternoon, every late meeting, every girls' night out. It's all here. I spread out the photos, the credit card statements, the GPS locations. 4 months of lies, documented in detail. Amanda started crying, her mascara running just like in the security footage. "James, please, I can explain." "Explain what?" "How you used our shared DoorDash account to order your affair meals. How you bought lingerie for him with our joint credit card. How you opened a secret credit card for hotel rooms." My voice was rising with each question. Michael tried to interrupt, but I cut him off. "And you, this isn't your first time, is it? How many married women have you personally trained in this apartment? I saw your Instagram history. Amanda's just another conquest, isn't she?" Amanda's sobs grew louder. "It's not like that. I love him." Those words hit me like a physical blow. I turned to her, 5 years of trust and love crumbling in an instant. "Love him? Then why keep ordering food on my account? Why keep coming home to me? Why keep playing the role of devoted wife?" I pulled out my phone and played a recording of them together from the burner phone I'd found. Their explicit messages filled the room, making Amanda sink deeper into the couch and causing Michael to clench his fists. "The funny thing is," I continued, "you got sloppy. A shared food delivery account? Really? Did you think I never checked our statements? Never noticed the patterns?" I walked to the window, looking out at the Seattle skyline. The same view we had from our apartment, just from a different angle. "I want you out of our apartment by tomorrow evening, Amanda. My lawyer will contact you next week. Keep the lingerie. You bought it with my money anyway." As I turned to leave, Michael stepped toward me aggressively. I held up my phone. "I wouldn't. The security cameras in this hallway work really well. Just ask Amanda. I have plenty of footage of her coming and going. I walked out, leaving them with the scattered evidence of their affair. The last thing I heard was Amanda's crying and Michael's frustrated grunt. In the elevator, my hands finally started shaking uncontrollably. It was over. My marriage was over. But as I drove home through Seattle's rainy streets, I felt something unexpected. Relief. The weight of suspicion and investigation lifted from my shoulders, replaced by the certainty of truth, no matter how painful that truth was. The days following the confrontation felt like walking through a thick fog. I took a week off work, unable to focus on coding while my personal life imploded. Amanda had moved out as instructed, taking only her personal belongings. Our shared apartment, once warm and inviting, now felt like a museum of lies. The first blow came when mutual friends started reaching out. It turned out many of them had suspected something, but chose to stay silent. Sarah, Amanda's best friend, finally confessed over coffee that she'd seen Amanda and Michael together at a restaurant 2 months ago. I didn't know how to tell you, she said, avoiding my eyes. I thought maybe it was just a phase. Then came the revelations about their planned vacation. While going through our shared cloud storage to separate our digital lives, I discovered confirmation emails for a luxury resort in Maui. Amanda had used our joint account to book a romantic getaway with Michael for our upcoming anniversary weekend. The irony was suffocating. The divorce proceedings began, and Amanda's true colors emerged. She tried to claim half of my Microsoft stock options, arguing she'd supported my career. Her lawyer painted her as a devoted wife, led astray by a moment of weakness. I simply forwarded them the 4 months' worth of evidence I'd collected. Their tone changed quickly after that. One evening, I received a call from Michael's ex-wife, Jessica. She'd heard about our situation through mutual acquaintances and wanted to meet. Over dinner, she shared a story disturbingly similar to mine. Michael had been her personal trainer too, turning their professional relationship into an affair that destroyed her marriage. He has a pattern, she explained. He targets successful, married women, makes them feel special, desired, then moves on once the thrill of secrecy fades. Amanda tried multiple times to explain herself. She sent long emails about feeling neglected, about how Michael made her feel alive. You were always working, she wrote. Michael listened to me. I couldn't help but laugh at that. I had recordings of their conversations, and very little of it involved listening. The hardest part was facing our families. My parents were devastated. They'd loved Amanda like a daughter. Her parents stopped speaking to me entirely, despite the evidence I'd offered to show them. Her father, who had once called me son, now crossed the street to avoid me when we crossed paths downtown. Social media became a battlefield. Amanda posted cryptic quotes about finding true happiness and following your heart. Michael shared gym selfies with captions about new beginnings. I maintained my silence, but my friends noticed when I changed my relationship status to single at 3 a.m. after a sleepless night. The DoorDash account that had started it all kept sending me notifications of their orders together, now to different addresses. I finally called customer service to separate our accounts. The representative, after hearing my story, helped me document all their past orders for the divorce proceedings. This happens more often than you'd think, she said sympathetically. 1 month after the confrontation, I ran into them at a local coffee shop. Amanda had dyed her honey blonde hair dark brown, perhaps trying to reinvent herself. Michael had his arm around her possessively, but I caught the way his eyes wandered to the barista. Amanda looked tired, her designer clothes replaced by workout gear. Now she was just another girl at his gym. The divorce papers arrived on a Thursday, their old date night. As I signed them, I discovered more credit card charges I hadn't known about. Amanda had been taking secret boxing classes with Michael for weeks before I caught them. She'd been learning self-defense while planning to break my heart. Friends tried to set me up on dates, but I wasn't ready. How could I trust anyone after discovering the person I trusted most had been living a double life? The therapist I started seeing helped me understand that Amanda's choices reflected her character, not my worth. Late one night, Amanda called, clearly drunk. She confessed that Michael had already moved on to another married client. "I threw away everything for him," she sobbed. "I lost the best thing I ever had." I listened silently, feeling nothing but pity, then hung up and blocked her number. Our apartment sold quickly. Seattle's real estate market was hot. As I packed up our life together, I found little signs of her deception I'd missed. Receipts from restaurants I'd never been to. Hotel keycards hidden in old purses. A handwritten note from Michael about their special training sessions. The last thing I packed was our wedding album. The smiling woman in white was now a stranger to me. I donated it to a thrift store, along with everything else that reminded me of our life together. It was time to write a new story, one without secret food deliveries and hidden betrayals. 1 year after discovering that first suspicious DoorDash notification, I stood in my new downtown Seattle apartment, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink. The view was different, but better, just like my life had become. The divorce had been finalized 6 months ago. Amanda had tried to contest it, but my meticulous documentation of her affair made it a fairly straightforward process. In the end, she got less than she'd hoped for, and I got something priceless: my freedom. My promotion at Microsoft had led to leading a new team developing AI security protocols. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd used similar tracking and pattern recognition skills to uncover Amanda's betrayal. Now I was channeling that investigative energy into something productive. The healing process hadn't been easy. There were nights when I'd wake up reaching for someone who wasn't there. Mornings when I'd make coffee for two out of habit. But slowly, the pain transformed into wisdom. I'd learned to trust my instincts, to value transparency, and to recognize that sometimes the best thing that can happen to you looks like the worst thing at first. Jessica, Michael's ex-wife, had become an unexpected friend. We'd started a support group for people affected by infidelity, meeting monthly to share stories and healing strategies. It turned out our story wasn't unique. Food delivery apps, fitness trainers, and shared accounts had exposed countless affairs. Our group helped others learn from our experiences. The DoorDash customer service representative, who'd helped me, Maria, had stayed in touch. She'd even implemented new privacy features in the app based on my case, helping others protect themselves from similar situations. We'd grabbed coffee a few times, strictly professionally, but her kindness during my darkest days meant a lot. I'd learned that Amanda and Michael's relationship had imploded spectacularly. He'd been caught with another client, and Amanda had created a scene at the gym. Elite Fitness had terminated his employment, and he'd moved to Los Angeles to restart his career. Amanda had tried to return to our friend group, but the bridges she'd burned were beyond repair. My own healing came in unexpected ways. I'd taken up photography, capturing Seattle's beautiful landscapes rather than surveillance photos. I'd joined a hiking group, making new friends who knew me as I was now, not as half of a failed marriage. I'd even started dating again, cautiously but optimistically. The last time I saw Amanda was at a mutual friend's wedding. She looked older, harder somehow. The confident glow she'd once had was replaced by a nervous energy. She tried to approach me, probably to attempt another explanation, but I simply nodded politely and moved to a different table. Her presence no longer had any power over me. My new apartment had become a symbol of my fresh start. No shared accounts, no hidden phones, no secrets. I'd installed a high-tech security system, not out of paranoia, but because I'd learned the value of protecting what matters. The walls were decorated with my photography, each image representing a moment of peace I'd found after the storm. The therapy sessions had helped me understand that trust wasn't naive. Blind trust was. I'd learned to balance openness with awareness, love with self-protection. My therapist had helped me see that Amanda's betrayal wasn't my failure. It was her choice, her weakness, her loss. One evening, as I was setting up for a dinner party with my new friends, I received a final email from Amanda. She was moving to Chicago, starting over just like I had. Her message was full of apologies and regrets, but it didn't move me. I wished her well and deleted the email. Her chapter in my life was firmly closed. My story had become something of a legend in our tech circle. Friends joked that I should develop a cheater detection app, but I preferred to focus on cybersecurity. Still, I'd occasionally help friends who suspected infidelity, teaching them to read the digital signs I'd learned to recognize, as I prepare to host my first Thanksgiving in my new home, surrounded by true friends and family who stood by me. I realized that happiness isn't about having a perfect life. It's about being true to yourself and surrounding yourself with genuine people. Sometimes it takes a delivery drama to deliver you to a better place. The sun has set now, and the city lights are twinkling below. I open my food delivery app, a different one this time, and order dinner for one. No secrets, no lies, no drama. Just me, my peace, and the knowledge that sometimes the best deliveries in life are the lessons we never ordered, but desperately needed.